So you put the box culvert in, and you can't, well, like we stated before, you can't just dump the creek back in. You've got to slow everything down, and then you got to figure out, well, how do you keep fish and things like that out of it? They did the count to see if there were fish in Airport Creek, and the Army Corps of Engineers came down and they flushed it, and they've got a net that's down at the end, and they caught 3 frogs. No fish. But this is the creek when they finished it. You can see the water's quite a bit clearer, and there's boulders in there now. And then they've got wrap here to keep erosion and allow vegetation to grow back in. And so you can see the wrap pretty well from this standpoint. And that's just basically woven straw, weed-free straw, and then they can seed this and it'll grow back. But this is the outfall. So it steps things up and allows the water to exit but not end up going back. It makes it harder for fish, if any, that are in the creek. You do see fish in Pullman, and so conceivably they can get up there. We didn't see any when the Army Corps was out, but it's a pretty neat piece of cast material, and this was they had to do it down to 1/8 of an inch. So they're working in water, trying to place concrete just exactly 1/8 of an inch with big pieces of machinery, because you can't do that by hand. You have to do it with machinery. It takes unbelievably good operators, and this took about 3 days just to place this in correctly. This shows you the box. So here's the box, and this is going east, and you can see the bend, and it starts to take off. So it's a pretty massive structure. And then we're standing where you're looking at this picture from, it was this level to begin with. So you're standing on probably, at this point, 40 feet of fill material. The road they paved, they had this all dug up, and everybody that took Airport Road to go to the Pullman backway, this was dug up for quite a while, a couple of months, and they were trying to put the box through this way. And they finally got that repaved before winter hit, and they're in a winter shutdown now. The costs, where we're looking at, land acquisition, the stream relocations, floodplain, the power line, mobilization, site prep, drainage, the pavements, you got more drainage, so drainage earthwork, and then you've got the actual piping that you need. The lighting, navigational aids, the weather station, fencing, there's a whole bunch of things that go in, but it rolls up into a total cost with contingency of $119 million. Economic impacts are pretty important when you're looking at a project like this. Just current, the airport as it stands by itself is 212 direct jobs. The construction is 93 direct jobs every year for 5 years. There's 226 total jobs to be created because of the indirect effect, and it contributes the $20.1 million to our gross regional product. $3 million is local and state tax coffers annually. There is a split with that. Yes, the project's in Washington, and there are taxes that go to the state of Washington, and there are taxes based on sales tax for each project. Washington taxes the project, but then you've got all the other things. If they've got to buy a tire and they have to come over to Pape Machinery to buy the tire, that's $12,500 they're spending in the state of Idaho. So there is a difference in how money gets spent, because where you've got a lot of the larger ag businesses, and they're not in Pullman, they're actually located in Moscow. But to give an idea of what you kind of saw from the construction, there's growth. And our employments was people getting on a plane. There were 20,000, or 20% in 2014 to 15. So 2014 was 41,525. 2015, 50,883. It's the first time we'd ever broke 50. I've got a report from October 31st, 2016, and the employments for 2016 are 49,562. We've got 2 months to go. So we're going to shatter probably 60,000 this year. That's 20% growth 3 years in a row. The catchment area where people come in and go, it keeps getting bigger. Steve Peterson is an economist with the University of Idaho, did a very good economic study for the airport board and the sponsors, so you could see, okay, well, if we captured all the airline travelers in our market, you'd see that growth from 300 jobs to 814 jobs, and it would be an additional, it'd be $47.2 million in gross regional product. So it's a significant issue that we're dealing with growth, and it's not a one-off or a knockoff. It's something that's happening with this airport regularly. It's why we're doing the project that we're doing, but it's not a freak occurrence or a fluke. The traffic's actually here, and people are actually using the airport. This is 737 coming in to pick up Washington State University football team charter. So the project's watching this, and this is it sitting down, and you can see all of the activity and the size of what the actual project is, them working on all of that earthwork. So what did they actually do in quantities? So there's 716 square yards of asphalt pavement that they took up. They removed and salvaged a gate. They took out the old airport road culvert and the head wall where the creek used to come out. 1.8 million cubic yards of unclassified excavation. 107,000 cubic yards of muck excavation. That's the box trench to the bedrock, and so that is a different material. It's very, very black soil. It's like garden soil that comes out of there. 13,000 cubic yards of select borrow, which is rock that went in. And they constructed and abandoned the temporary stream bypass. 2,920 linear feet of 6x8 box culvert placed. 6,000 linear feet of 6-inch perforated underdrain with drain tile. 350 linear feet of 12-inch underdrain, and then a whole bunch of erosion control that you saw, and now they're in winter suspension. So they're about halfway through their contract right now, and they'll start up as soon as weather conditions allow, and they'll remove the rest of the power line, and they'll continue to work. The goal right now is to have the next piece that's on the east end of the airport awarded and put out, well, at least put out to bid in March-April timeframe, so we can take advantage of good bid prices pending what happens with the federal government and timing for financing and those kinds of things. The current CR with Congress, a continuing resolution, runs out the 9th of December, and they'll put another one in, and everything that I'm hearing right now is that that'll get extended into March to give the new administration the time to decide priorities and how they want to move forward, and then they'll do another continuing resolution with whatever that direction is through the end of the year. Funding sources, this is important. This is a true regional project, and it is a true public-private partnership. Schweitzer Engineering and the Schweitzer family donated them $2 million, $1 million each. We've got money coming from the state aviation divisions. I know Idaho's aviation division is looking at funding, the universities, the ports, the counties, and both cities. Both cities are definitely the driver, and they are the owner of the airport. So we are getting committed local funds, and there's money coming in to cover the project costs, and the faster we can get it done, the lower the cost is the goal. But we can only control the things that we do, and getting that $5 million additional entitlement money from the Port of Bellingham that they graciously gave up helps us keep within the pieces we can control. Yes, sir.
John, that $5 million does not affect any of those numbers. Okay.
No, the $5 million is basically I'm getting money earlier than what was programmed. So if the FAA can find money earlier, and they are by far the significant price holder in this because they're funding 92% of it, they're trying to find funding. If a project falls out in the Northwest Mountain region, we are #1 for getting that funds, and because they're trying to get us done and our project finished so they can move on to other projects that they've got within the 7 states that work with the region. So it's basically like getting an advance.
Thanks, John.
But it is definitely a community investment. I always love telling the story when I go to an airports conference, and there's a saying about airports: if you've seen one airport, you've seen one airport, because everybody's different on how they operate. And they'll ask about this project, and then they'll ask about how the airport's governed. And when I tell them it's 2 cities, 2 universities, and 2 counties, and oh, by the way, they're in 2 separate states, that on the political spectrum couldn't be more diametrically opposed, and it works. They just unbelievable. They just don't believe that. And it not only works, it works wonderfully because everybody knows what the value of aviation in our region is when we don't have interstates and we don't have rail or waterways or those kinds of things, but everything that is produced in the Palouse, whether it's garbanzo beans or wheat, or it's technological innovation, or it's research, or it's teaching, or any of those things, it all has a global impact, and that's our capability with air service is to keep that. So the long-term prospects, everything that we're seeing, it's going to be good.